During dinner, she looked me in the eyes and said, "My ex is joining us. If you're going to act jealous, just cover the bill and leave." I didn't respond, I just walked away. That same night, her best friend, a 26 male, never thought a single evening could permanently shift the way I understood love, loyalty, or my own limits. Yet here I am, telling you how one dinner, one sentence, broke something inside me so cleanly that I almost admired the precision. Even now, when I look back, I can trace every moment of that night like I'm replaying a movie frame by frame. The emotions, the silence, the slow unraveling of a relationship I had poured my heart into. All of it started in a small candlelit restaurant, the same one Mia and I used to consider our place. The place where we once celebrated new beginnings, only for it to become the battlefield where everything ended. That evening I arrived early. I always did. It wasn't about being punctual. It was about giving myself a moment to breathe before I saw her. I used to get this warm feeling in my chest right before Mia walked into a room, the kind of feeling you get when you know the person you love is about to appear. I sat there, adjusting my sleeves, checking my phone, pretending I wasn't watching the entrance like someone waiting for sunlight. The waitstaff knew me. They nodded politely, refilled my water, asked if I wanted to order something while I waited. I declined every time. I wanted to start everything together like we always used to. Mia arrived 25 minutes late. She didn't apologize. She didn't seem in a rush or flustered. She walked in with the confidence of someone who expected the world to wait for her. Her outfit was perfect, her makeup flawless, but there was a detached sharpness in her expression. Even her smile felt rehearsed, like she was presenting a version of herself rather than being herself. I stood up, pulled out her chair, leaning in for a kiss that she redirected into a quick brush against my cheek. That was the first clue, small but enough to sting. I ignored it. Love makes you ignore a lot of things. From the moment she sat down, I could tell something was off. She wasn't present. Her eyes kept flicking toward the entrance, scanning the room, drifting away from our table every few seconds. She kept tapping her phone, smiling at messages she didn't show me. She laughed quietly at her screen in a way she hadn't laughed with me in weeks. I tried to start conversations about work, about her week, about the movie we planned to watch later, but everything I said floated between us like dust, unimportant and easily brushed aside. I asked if everything was okay. She said she was fine. She didn't even look up. My food tasted like nothing. The weight in my chest made it hard to swallow. I knew something was coming, something she wasn't saying, but I was completely unprepared for how bluntly she would drop it on the table between us like a grenade. It happened after she took a slow sip of her drink, set the glass down with deliberate calm, and finally met my eyes with an expression I couldn't read. Her nails tapped against the table, a slow, steady rhythm that somehow made the silence feel heavier. Then she leaned back, exhaled, and said it. "By the way, my ex is joining us. If you're going to act jealous, just cover the bill and leave." Just like that. No hesitation. No softening. No empathy. Just a casual, almost bored announcement, as if she were informing me that the restaurant had run out of dessert. For a moment I didn't breathe. I didn't blink. I just stared at her, trying to understand whether I had heard her correctly. Her expression remained unchanged, calm, indifferent, almost challenging. She waited for my reaction like someone watching a game they already knew the outcome of. I opened my mouth to speak, but no sound came out. My thoughts were a mess. Confusion, disbelief, humiliation, anger, all battling for space inside my head. And beneath all of it, a quiet, devastating realization that the woman sitting in front of me no longer respected me. Maybe she hadn't for a while. I searched her face for even the smallest sign that this was a joke, a test, anything other than what it sounded like. But there was nothing. She had already decided her stance long before I arrived. I was simply the last person to get the memo. So I swallowed everything I wanted to say. All the questions, all the hurt, all the explanations I would never receive. I didn't respond. I didn't argue. I didn't ask why. I didn't demand an explanation. I simply placed my napkin on the table, stood up quietly, and walked away. I didn't look back, even though I heard her friends, who had apparently been sitting at a nearby table, watching everything unfold, burst into laughter the moment I stepped away. Their mocking voices followed me out of the restaurant like shadows, but I kept walking. I didn't give them the satisfaction of turning around. Sometimes silence cuts deeper than any words could. When I reached my car, I sat inside for a long moment, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. I wasn't angry, I thought I would be, but I wasn't. What I felt was something deeper, something colder. A numb clarity. A realization that the woman I loved was capable of humiliating me publicly without hesitation. The Mia I fell in love with wouldn't have done that. But the Mia sitting inside that restaurant? I didn't know her anymore. I drove home in silence, letting the weight of the night settle into me. I expected tears, rage, something explosive, but instead, I felt a strange calm. The kind you feel when you finally stop trying to hold onto something that has already slipped through your fingers. I showered, changed, and sat down on the edge of my bed, still processing everything that had happened. That's when my phone rang. It was her best friend. At first, I almost didn't pick up. I wasn't in the mood for whatever excuse or half-hearted apology she was going to offer on Mia's behalf. But something told me to answer. Her voice came out shaky. Nothing like the confident, loud girl I knew from all the group gatherings. She sounded terrified, guilty, on the verge of breaking down. "Hey, I just wanted to talk to you," she said softly. I didn't say anything. I waited. And then the truth started pouring out of her in long, trembling sentences she had clearly been keeping in for far too long. She told me Mia had been meeting her ex for weeks. She told me Mia had bragged about testing how much humiliation I would tolerate. She told me tonight was planned. A joke, a power move. Something they all wanted to see play out in front of her friends. Her voice cracked as she continued, saying she couldn't take watching me get treated like that anymore. She apologized not for Mia, but for herself, for being part of the group that stayed silent while I kept giving my all to someone who didn't value me. She said she admired the way I walked out without letting them see me break. That was the first moment I felt something warm in my chest. Not love, not hope, but relief. Relief that I wasn't crazy. Relief that my instincts had been right. Relief that walking away had been the only self-respecting choice I could have made. She ended the call by saying, "You didn't deserve any of that. I'm sorry we let her treat you this way." When the call ended, I sat there for a long time, letting everything settle into place. The betrayal, the humiliation, the confirmation, the closure. And strangely, it didn't destroy me the way I thought it would. Sometimes the truth hurts, yes, but it also liberates you. That night, I realized something. Respect isn't optional. Kindness isn't negotiable. Love without loyalty is a ticking time bomb. Walking away wasn't weakness. It was the strongest thing I've ever done. And for the first time in months, I slept peacefully.